morning. The program is moving well. I am Shirley Delorier. I am the teacher here today, and I welcome you to join us, if you'd like to, at the Addison Township Senior Center at any time on Tuesdays. Actually, 9:30 would be best since that's when we start. But you're welcome. It's an open class. All right, let's get started. Okay, are there any questions or comments on last week's class?
I thought it was really very rewarding. Which I wanted to mention, I got an email from Annette Danielle. She's doing an interview today with this Michael Merzenich, who's one of the pioneers of the neuroplasticity movement. He's the guy who developed the lumosity.com website.
Yep.
I don't know if that'll be in there. I probably won't watch it, but
her webinars are usually really interesting. Yeah, it's worth catching. I usually try to catch them because she's, like I mentioned to you guys, she was working with the doctors in the whole neuroplasticity arena along with the Feldenkrais work, and they're a perfect marriage. I mean, because it's what it's all about. And so she has taken the work to another whole level. So, as have other practitioners that had trained with Moshe. They have also continued to explore in the brain arenas. So everybody's opening up and going further. We're learning more and more. We've got so much to learn about our human brain. So it's an open field. We'll keep on learning. So, okay, if there are no other comments, go ahead and lay down on the floor. And remember the essentials. You want to take off your glasses. Remember the essentials. You want to remember to move really slowly, because when we move slowly, that gives the brain a chance to make changes. It gets the brain's attention if we're paying attention. You want to do things gently. Don't try to force anything. If something is uncomfortable or isn't going well, then try some different variations and explore different options. And if it still isn't working well for you, then just simply imagine the move. We know that when we imagine something, our brain actually begins to make changes. So it's really super powerful. And let yourself get excited. When you notice any changes, kind of up the enthusiasm a little bit. That also gets your brain's attention and enhances the impact. So let's start out by just exploring where we're at right now. Feel your two heels on the floor. Notice the direction that your toes point on the right and your toes on the left. Are they the same, or is there a difference in how one leg is organized in the other? And then start with your right heel and just slowly scan up through your ankle area, your lower leg, behind your knee, and on up through your upper leg. Noticing things like, where are you in contact with the floor? Where are there spaces? Notice if there's any discomfort in any area. And then do the same thing, starting with your left heel, scanning through your ankle, your lower left leg, behind your knee, up through your thigh to your hip joint. And notice, where are there spaces and where is there contact? What part of your leg is actually resting on the floor? And then feel the two sides of your pelvis, the right side and the left side. Do they rest similarly, or is there a difference between one side and the other? And feel the way your sacrum is in contact with the floor. What part of your sacrum? Is it closer to your tailbone? Can you sense where your tailbone is? At the very bottom of your sacrum. And continue scanning from your tailbone through your sacrum to your low back area, where the 5 lumbar vertebrae begin, and notice, is there space between this part of your back and the floor, or are you resting? And then continue scanning through your spine where your ribs begin attaching, on up between your shoulder blades, all the way to the base of your neck. And from the base of your neck, continue on up through to the base of your skull, the base of your head. And notice, are there parts of your spine that are real clear in your image? Maybe some not so clear, and maybe there are some that you can't even sense or imagine or feel there. Generally speaking, the vertebrae that are clear in our image are the ones that we use freely and easily. And the ones that are less clear in our sense of ourself are probably ones that aren't moving and we aren't utilizing as much. Now feel the two sides, your two shoulder blades, the right shoulder blade and the left shoulder blade. Feel the way they contact the floor and notice any similarities and any differences again. Feel the weight of your head. Notice how your head rests. What's the leaning point? And how heavy does your head feel laying on the floor right now? Is it light like a balloon or heavy like a rock or someplace in between? Then bring your attention back to your two shoulder blades. The right shoulder blade, your left shoulder blade, and then scan from the tip of your right shoulder through your upper arm to your elbow, from your elbow through your lower arm to your wrist, and from your wrist through the palm of your hand, and then on through your thumb and your fingers. And then do the same thing on the left side, from your left shoulder blade, your left shoulder, through your left upper arm to your elbow, from your elbow through your lower arm to the wrist, from your wrist through your hand, and then through your fingers and thumb. Take a moment to contrast the way your right arm rests and the way your left arm rests. Notice things like the distance from your pelvis that your hand is resting on the floor. Is your hand resting with your palm down, with your palm facing the ceiling, or with your palm facing towards yourself? And then bring your attention back to your breathing again. Just take a few moments to notice where you feel the movement of your inhalation and exhalation. How deep in your torso do you feel it? Do you feel expansion from side to side or from front to back? So as you do the lesson, you'll just be listening to your own body. And your attention on yourself is what gives your brain the information that it needs to make any changes and variations. And go ahead and bend your knees, stand your feet. Notice how that changes any contact of your torso with the floor. Does it make any change in your breathing? Now, cross your right leg over your left. So you're crossing your right knee over your left knee, or any place along your leg that you can cross comfortably. Make sure that you have it in a comfortable position. If we're uncomfortable or struggling, then our brain is busy paying attention to that and not attention to what the changes that we'd like to make. Now, very, very gently, start tilting your two knees to the right. So you let your knees cross like that, sink to the right. Slowly. And slowly bring them back again. And keep the movement at your own pace and in your own range of comfort and ease. So your left foot stays standing as the knee goes down and your left foot just rolls. So your right leg's crossed over your left and you're tilting your knees to the right. Go only as it's easy, totally easy to go comfortably. This is one of the moves that's often used in stretching exercises, so it's really important that you understand this is not what we're doing. We're not stretching. You don't want to go any further than is totally, totally comfortable. As you're repeating this move, notice your breathing. When do you inhale? When do you exhale? Try it both ways. One time try exhaling as you tilt your knees, and then another time try inhaling as you tilt your knees. Do you feel any movement in your spine while you're tilting your knees? If so, how far up your spine do you feel? Pardon?
Can I ask you a question?
You sure can.
If I'm tilting my legs go all the way to the floor
Mm-hmm.
without any.
Without any strain or resistance at all?
Yeah.
Okay, so just continue doing it really slowly, and you can take them all the way to the floor. But if you do it slowly, then just pay attention to the changes that you feel in the pressure under your pelvis, under your sacrum, and see if you can follow the gradual rotation of your spine as your knees go to the right. And notice how far up your spine do you feel the vertebra rotating? Do you feel it all the way to your head? And that's true for everybody. To feel your spine. As you're tilting your legs, can you feel that it kind of pulls down on your spine? Do you feel any movement in your head? And also observe if you're holding any tension any place in your body that you don't have to, like maybe your jaw. Intentionally let there be some space between your teeth. Is there any tension in your hands or your shoulders? As much as possible, let everything go soft. And as you continue tilting your knees, you begin to feel a subtle pull on your chin. And then bring your knees back to neutral and uncross them and lengthen them. Anytime that, I just want to address the super flexible here. you're doing exactly what you need to do in that you're moving really, really slowly, paying attention to whatever you're feeling, and playing with keeping it in a shorter range than you know that you could go to. Because that, if there's anything hanging up anywhere in there, your brain is going to catch it while you're moving slowly. And so you're doing just A-okay. Take a moment to feel any changes that have happened because of what you just did. Does it change your breathing in any way? Are there parts of yourself that are touching the floor now that weren't before? Or maybe vice versa? Does one side maybe feel longer or shorter than the other? And if you're not feeling any of that stuff yet, don't worry. You're still right on schedule. And now bend both knees again and stand both feet. Spread as you did just a minute ago. And this time lift your left leg and cross the left leg over the right. And start tilting the two knees to the left. Again, going very slowly, doing it in gentle little increments. And from the get-go, in the background, be aware of your entire spine and your ribs. You're all doing beautifully, going really gentle and slow. It's awesome. Remembering we're not trying to stretch any muscles. We're not trying to force anything. Your right foot follows the leg and just tilts. Just rolls to the side towards the instep while the knees are tilted. And then rolls back up to stand on the sole of your foot when your knees come back up. And now again, start exhaling as you begin the tilting. And inhaling when they come back up. Pay attention to your back. You feel any movement in your spine while you sink your knees to the left. Do you feel any movement in your ribs? Do you begin to feel a pulling on your spine, a lengthening of your spine as you tilt your knees to the left? Do you begin to feel a little tug of your chin as you tilt your knees to the left and they pull on the spine? Remember, you can imagine the rotation of your spine. If you're not sensing it or feeling it, just go ahead and imagine the way your spine could be rotating all the way up to the base of your head. The changes happen really quickly if we are moving slowly and gently and aren't forcing anything, and especially if we're really paying attention to what we're sensing and feeling. We thrive, just like when we give little kids attention and they thrive. We're the same way. And then bring your knees back up, slowly lengthen them. And again, rest. Noticing whatever changes there are that get your attention. Feel the way your body comes in contact with the floor. Notice if there are parts of yourself that are lying flatter now to the floor. And what about your leg length? Do your legs feel any longer? Do you feel your breath going any deeper in your torso than when you first laid down? And then again, bend your knees, stand your feet. This time cross your right knee over your left knee, or where it's comfortable. Don't force anything, just put it where it's comfortable. Now interlace your fingers and put your hands behind your head. And bring your elbows in close so you're like cradling your head. And begin lifting and lowering your head with the help of your hands and arms. And each time you lift your head, notice what's happening to your knees. Now tilt your knees to the right. And leave them there. And now begin lifting your head and lowering it. And are you remembering to exhale when you lift and inhale when you come back down? And as you're doing this, be aware of your rib cage and your spine. What's usually stopping our flexibility is stiffness and rigidity in our rib cage, our sternum and our spine. So the more we can do something to reduce the tension in our chest, in our rib cage, the freer our spine gets. Notice what's happening to your knees now after you're doing this a few times. Are you intentionally exhaling as you lift your head, inhaling as you lay your head down? Notice does it make a difference if you intentionally exhale as you're lifting your head? And now slowly lower your head, slowly bring your arms down. You can bring your knees back up, but don't uncross them yet. Keep them crossed, just bring them back up to the middle. Breathe. And then gently tilt your knees to the right and see, is there any difference in the range of easy tilting now? And now just tilt the knees 2 or 3 times just to observe, where do you feel like you're holding or resisting? Now after doing this little exercise, lifting your head with your knees tilted, something has happened. Can you feel where it is? Can you feel a difference in your rib cage, in the rotation of your spine? Now again, as you tilt, notice there's been an increase in the availability of movement here. Just notice, where do you feel any hold up, any resistance? And then slowly uncross your legs, lengthen your legs and rest, and observe for any other changes that you're feeling in your contact with the floor or your breathing, or changes in any other way that you may notice. And bend your knees again, put both feet standing, cross your left knee over your right knee. Interlace your fingers, put them behind your head. And this time tilt your knees to the left and stay there. And once your knees are tilted to the left and hanging out there, bring those elbows in and begin gently lifting your head and lowering it. And remember, we're not doing crunches, so you lift your head, you bring your head back down to the floor, you relax everything, take a breath, and then lift again when you exhale. And just continue repeating this gently, without forcing anything, just allowing. And again, as you lift and lower your head, notice what happens with your knees. Do they move a little bit up and then sink a little bit down? And when does that happen? Do they move up when the head moves up? And sink when the head goes down? Or the other way around? And now slowly leave your head down. Bring your arms down beside yourself. Keep your knees crossed for a moment and bring them back up. Just bring them back up and then just tilt them to the left again and see if that has become easier. Do they tilt a little further? Or can you feel more movement in your spine, in your ribs? Just observe for anything that's different. That's what your brain gets excited about. You noticing, paying attention. And then slowly uncross your legs, lengthen your legs. Feel how you're lying now. Is more of your back and pelvis resting flat on the floor now. That's what happens when that chronic contractions and tensions let go. Excuse me. When they let go in our back and in our rib cage. Now do you feel a difference in your breathing? You know, for most of us, the lifelong stresses and our habits, poor habits of standing and sitting, lead us to think, lead us into just holding our chest really stiff. Grief, loss, fear, it all gets held there. So one thing I should probably mention, that not only do we feel changes in the tension and tonus of the muscles, and that freeing up, sometimes there can also be emotions freeing up. So if that does happen, don't let it concern you. Just know that you're just letting go not only of muscular tensions, but you're letting go of old stuff. Okay, let's do another movement that can help soften the chest even further. Bend your knees, stand your feet. Now bring your right arm across your chest to get hold of your left shoulder blade under your arm, so you're going to hug yourself. Left hand is under the right arm, and then under the other way around, Kathy. So you're, yeah, there you go. Yeah. Okay. Excuse me, I have to take a drink of water. I get you all crossed up, and then I pause. Okay, bend your knees, stand your feet. Oops, excuse me. Now start rocking yourself from right to left using your arms. So you're using your hands to lift one shoulder and then the other. You're gently rocking from right to left. Notice how do you use yourself in order to rock yourself like this? Do you feel yourself spontaneously pressing on one foot and then the other? The knees stay standing, but you can use the pressure under your feet, feeling the force going through your skeleton to help with the rocking. And now continue the rocking, but now keep your head with as little movement as possible, and also your pelvis with as little movement as possible. Can you kind of get the picture that we're going to differentiate our torso from our pelvis and our head? They can be smaller and smoother. Anytime you feel any kind of a bump, just reduce the effort and look to reduce the tension in your chest. Notice if you're holding tension anyplace else. Is there tension in your neck or your jaw that you can just let go of? Now look with your eyes to the ceiling and keep your head more or less in the middle. So you keep your eyes and your head in the middle, looking at the ceiling, and keep rocking your shoulders from side to side. And let it be gentle and easy. Think of softening your chest and letting your ribs move. Imagine your chest kind of melting. Now begin to take your head to the right when your shoulders rock to the right or turn to the right, and take your head to the left when your shoulders rock to the left. So your head, eyes, and shoulders all rock to the right, and then your head, eyes, and shoulders all rock together to the left. Remember, gentle, soft. Remember to breathe. Now begin to take your head and eyes in the opposite direction of your shoulders. So when your shoulders go right, your head and eyes turn left. And when your shoulders go left, your head and eyes turn right. Remember not to hold your breath. Keep on breathing. Now just let your head go wherever it wants to go as you rock your shoulders left and right. It can go along with, it can go opposite, and just notice, is it easier now, lighter? Maybe the movement's even a little larger without trying to make it larger. And then stop. Slowly bring your arms down, lengthen your legs and rest. Notice, sense and feel anything that's changing. Are you feeling any longer on the mat? Any flatter? Is there a change in your breathing? Now bend your knees again and reverse the crossing of your arms. That means you take your left arm across to the right shoulder blade and then take your right arm across. So your left hand will be under your left, yeah, there you go. Okay. And now begin to just gently rock yourself a little left and right. Let your head go with or without. Just begin to let your whole torso rock easily and feel what that's like right now. Notice if it's different with your arms crossed in this fashion. And now just let your head and eyes go with your shoulders. So as your shoulders go to the right, your head turns to the right, and the eyes look to the right. And then as your shoulders roll to the left, your head rolls to the left, and your eyes look to the left. And start with really small movements. In fact, no matter what you started with, go back and start with just a tiny movement, just to feel what's it like to do a tiny movement. And what do you sense and feel when you do a tiny movement? Look to reduce any tension in your arms and your jaw, in your ribs, your lips. Is there space between your teeth? These are places that would easily tend to hold tension. And it's amazing how much clenching your jaw impacts throughout yourself. Now keep your head in the middle and take only your shoulders a little right and a little left. So your head and eyes stay pointed towards the ceiling. So you're differentiating your torso from your head. Now begin to take your head and eyes in the opposite direction of your shoulders. So as your shoulder girdle rolls to the left, your head and eyes move to the right, to look right. And as your shoulders and shoulder girdle roll to the right, your head and eyes turn to look to the left. You're doing beautifully gentle and slow. Notice, as you continue doing this, notice when you inhale and when you exhale. And notice if you have a tendency to hold your breath. All of you try holding your breath once and do it just to feel. Give your brain a little variation to change. And then go back to breathing again. And then pause in the middle for a moment. And for the adventurous, that's all of you, continue moving your head and shoulders in opposite directions, but let your eyes move in the direction with your shoulders. See if you can think this and then do it. So imagine it first. So your eyes are going to move in the same direction as the shoulders, and your head's going to go the opposite. Be sure not to get tense or try harder. Remember, if we're doing something different or challenging, we go slower and smaller. So you simply take the shoulders to the right, the head to the left, and at the same time the eyes go to the right. And then reverse it. So that means your head and shoulders are going to go to the same direction, but your eyes are going to look the opposite. Your eyes will look the opposite of your head. Your head will go with your shoulders. Now let your head and eyes go wherever they want to, and simply rock your shoulders right and left. Now increase the speed. Do it smaller but faster. In order to make it fast, you have to make it small. Just a tiny, faster, little going back and forth. And then go back to slowing way down and feel if it's gotten any smoother. Is it going any easier or any further? Can you rock your shoulders with less effort now? Can you feel your spine moving, your ribs moving? And then slowly unwrap yourself, bring your arms down. Cross your right leg over your left leg and simply tilt the two knees to the right. And feel what it's like now. Is it easier? Is it any lighter? And just repeat the move a few times. Paying attention to what's happening in your back now as you tilt your knees. And then cross your legs the other way, cross the left over the right. And begin tilting. Feel what it's like now on this side, going in this direction. Notice, now can you feel the twisting through your spine? Do you feel a gentle pull on your spine as you tilt now? Be sure you're letting that belly be free. Does your chin tend to go down as you tilt your knees to the left? And then leave that alone. Slowly lengthen your legs and rest. Is more of yourself in contact with the floor now? You feel flatter? Is there a fuller contact with the floor? Roll your head a little left and a little right. Notice any change in the movement of your neck. And as you're slowly rolling your head a little left and a little right, bring your whole self into your image and notice how far down your spine can you feel the turning of your head. And then bend your knees again, stand your feet. Cross your right leg over your left. And begin tilting your knees to the left. Your right, sorry. My left, your right. And just play with feeling. Do you feel your whole spine now rotating, participating? Is there movement in your rib cage? Can you sense movement in your sternum? Are you remembering to breathe and to exhale as you're tilting? You feel your chin being pulled down as you tilt your knees and your spine. And then slowly change the crossing of your legs. And begin tilting your knees to your left. And again, is it easier? You feel more connection through your skeleton as you roll your pelvis to the left. Can you feel how your sacrum turns? And the sacrum is connected to your spine, and your lumbar spine begins to turn. Can you feel the rotation happening all the way up your spine? You feel the rib cage complying, making it possible. Notice, are you inhaling or exhaling as you tilt your knees? And then slowly bring your knees back up, uncross your legs, lengthen your legs, and rest. And now, just really tune in and feel what you're feeling. Are there parts of you that are touching the floor now that weren't? You feel any flatter, wider? How deep in your torso do you feel your breath go as you inhale and exhale now? You feel your right shoulder blade and your left shoulder blade. Are they more in contact with the floor? And now take a moment to imagine yourself elegantly rolling to your side, easily rolling to your side, comfortably rolling to your side, and gradually finding your way to standing. You want to stand on the floor, off your mat, so you really have the firm feedback foundation of the floor to your feet. So take your time. And just find a spot where you have a little bit more room. Oh, come on, go over here, Kathy. So, come away from the counter because I want to have you move. All right, now just let your arms hang. Can you feel your arms really hanging? Can you feel your shoulder blades hanging on your back now? Sense the way you feel your head perched on your spine. And then just scan from your tailbone, through your sacrum, to your waist, through your low back, and up, continue up your spine, up between your shoulder blades, to your base of your neck, and then to the base of your head. Get a sense of the image of your spine. And then very gently turn your head a little left and a little right and observe for how far down your spine can you feel the turning of your head. You don't have to go far. Let it be a small range to start. But it's just a gentle turning of your head, a little left and a little right. You can sense a response. And how far down your spine do you feel the response? Okay, and you can let that go. And just notice how your arms are hanging at your side now. Get a sense of the way your feet are in contact with the floor. And just scan from your feet through your legs to your hip joints. Feel your sacrum, your pelvis, and you sense your tailbone there. And continue to scan up your spine to the base of your head. Feel your shoulder blades hanging, your arms hanging. And now just let yourself stay very relaxed and just let your whole self turn a little left and a little right. And relax enough so that your arms are going to move spontaneously with the turning. So that you're not holding them at your side. And then turn a little more, a little larger turn, a little quicker turn. A little more playful turn. Let your arms kind of just be free. And now as you turn your shoulders and arms to the right, let your head look gently left. Just gently, just a little in the opposite direction. Beautiful. Okay, leave it alone. Go ahead and walk around. Take your changes into movement and see what you notice. Feel what you notice. Now imagine that you're sightseeing and that you're in a beautiful mountainous area. So there are peaks and there are valleys and there's nature that you can look at. How high are the mountains? Do you feel any change in the movement of your neck, your shoulders, your arms? What do you notice? What gets your attention? Any comments, questions?
Feel very relaxed.
Very relaxed. Yeah, chill. Everybody's so gumby, they're not even talking. How are you doing?
Good.
Okay, well, enjoy. And thanks for joining us, and keep on moving well.